After opening the season last Saturday in tropical Florida, the NASCAR Nationwide Series has traveled 2,000 miles to the desert Southwest. The geography isn't the only contrast. From drafting on Daytona's high banks, now it's short track style, pushing and shoving on the Phoenix International Raceway Mile. What doesn't change? The field of NASCAR stars ready to race, and the desire on the part of this great group of drivers to be first to the checkered flag. And hello from Phoenix International Raceway, where the weather forecast originally called for a 100% chance of showers. The track's dry, we're ready to go racing and thankful for it. Alan Bestwick, champion driver Dale Jarrett, and champion crew chief Andy Petrie. And what a contrast in styles of racing from Daytona to Phoenix.
Yeah, it really is. And the drivers love the opportunity. They can really make a difference here. Doesn't matter what lane you're in, the handling of your race car, you can affect how things go here today. A little pushing and shoving is what I expect to see.
Yeah, and it's quite a bit different for the crews too, because it is a short track and it puts a premium on a lot of different things like brakes and how your car handles shocks and making the right calls to keep track position, because it's way more important here than it was last week.
Pit strategy also a big factor in deciding the outcome of the race today. We'll talk about that in just a minute. There is a prohibited favorite in the field today. He is Kyle Busch. He's won the last 2 consecutive Nationwide Series races at this track. Kyle clearly the favorite, but a great group of drivers ready to challenge him, like the guy starting on the pole.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski and his team have worked really hard here recently, realizing how they got beat and the things that they needed to make a change, and see if he can do that today.
Keselowski, Kevin Harvick also up there, along with some of the Nationwide Series regulars like Brian Scott, Elliott Sadler, Ty Dillon, and more. So, field gathered along the pit lane. We're in a little bit of a hurry-up mode because there is still the threat of some bad weather, so we will not waste any time in going directly trackside for today's pre-race ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Carl Hayden High School Junior ROTC Color Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Phoenix International Raceway Chaplain Ken Bowers offers today's invocation.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for today. Rarely have we been more grateful to see the sunshine. Thank you for the beautiful day you are blessing us with here for the 50th anniversary beginning of Phoenix International Raceway. And now we petition you for safe racing. We thank you for those who are protecting us wherever they are and blessing this great country. Thank you, our Lord, we pray, and everyone said, Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome Vanguard recording artist and American Idol winner, Lee DeWise.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And to the KC Flight Team for today's flyover.
Time for the drivers to climb in and buckle up, and the green flag coming momentarily here at Phoenix International Raceway. This racetrack celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, built in 1964. In 2011, it was remodeled, and the key part of this racetrack is something that was changed in that renovation. The dog leg, the kink on the backstretch, moved out, banking added to it, and it's really created an area where action starts to happen.
Yeah, it really does, and it's probably the talk every time you talk to a driver. It's about this particular part of the racetrack. Now, it is a shorter way. I'll give them that, but we've seen very few passes made in this area where the drivers go down and use the apron that really turn out very well. And what you have to do, if you're going to make that move, you have to clear the cars that you're trying to pass, make sure you get the proper angle of attack into that corner, or you're going to create a bad situation, Andy.
Well, it is tempting, though. Like you said, it's shorter. These guys are going to run up on slower cars. Sometimes you can get a 2-for-1 by going on that apron. I'm sure we're going to see it done today. Just hope that they don't do it wrong like we've seen done quite a few times and cause a big problem when they funnel down into turn 3.
Now, the man who's done everything right here at Phoenix last season in these Nationwide Series races is Kyle Busch. He started on pole, led the most laps, and won the last 2 straight races here, and teams have thrown about everything in the book at him to try and stop him.
Well, they've tried everything from just trying to beat him on the racetrack to trying some things on pit road. They've shuffled him back a few times with strategy when he's maybe taken tires and they haven't. He came in when cars stayed out. He started back in the back, well, not so far in the back, but he had to make up some ground. Was able to do it every time, be able to pass these cars. And here we see him on the apron, getting the 2-for-1 special.
Yeah, his driving style just really suits this racetrack so well. It's about momentum, keeping that going, the RPMs up, and making the straightaway speed. Kyle does a terrific job, but there are other drivers and teams that feel like they're much closer and can challenge him here today.
Kyle Busch shuffled back to 6th, shuffled back to 5th on the final pit stop in each of the last 2 races here, came through to score the win. No driver has ever won 3 straight in the Nationwide Series at this track. Kyle tries to do that today. 38 others want to be the guy to stop him. They come from miles around, all over the country and even out of the country. Talked to a guy from Granby, Alberta, as I was walking up to the booth today. Camped out for the weekend here at Phoenix International Raceway to enjoy a little desert weather, for the most part, and a little NASCAR Nationwide Series racing today here at Phoenix International Raceway. Drivers are buckled in, and down trackside, we'll get the command to start engines in just a moment. Keeping an eye on the radar, but we should be good to go for the full 200-mile scheduled distance today in Race 2 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season. Let's go trackside.
Now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, President of the Arizona Farm Bureau Federation and Vice President of the Arizona Cotton Growers Association, Kevin Rogers.
On behalf of America's cotton producers and Cotton Incorporated, the fabric of our lives, gentlemen, please start your engines.
All right, buddy, crank it up when you're ready. Fired up when ready. Switch. From radio 1 to 2.
Ready to race at Phoenix for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Brad Keselowski, the pole sitter, will lead this field onto the racetrack momentarily. The season started off with a fabulous race at Daytona last Saturday, won by the driver who'll serve today as our ESPN in-race reporter. Regan Smith from the Syracuse, New York area, Cato, New York to be specific, had a great car last Saturday at Daytona, got shuffled back in the Daytona draft, but worked his way back to the front and got to the checkered flag ahead of Keselowski by 13 thousandths of a second. We'll talk to Regan on the pace lap next.
Yeah.
The field rolling from the pit lane out onto the Phoenix International Raceway, ready for race number 2 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season. 200 miles, 200 laps around this 1-mile racetrack. Been a pretty good week to be Dale Earnhardt Jr., you figure? As a driver, won the Daytona 500 last Sunday. The day before, he won the season opener for the Nationwide Series at Daytona. As a team owner, Regan Smith driving Junior Motorsports number 7 car to the victory. Regan second on that team's list of all-time winners. All in the last 35 races. Regan has been a force since coming into this series full-time with this team. He's our ESPN in-race reporter today, and he's lined up in the 8th position.
Regan, Dale Jarrett, ESPN, you have a copy?
I got you, DJ.
All right, Regan, let me first say congratulations on a great win last week at Daytona. And that kind of leads me to my question to you. We know that your ultimate goal is to get back into the Cup Series as a full-time driver there. In your opinion, is winning races like that and other races against these Cup drivers more important or winning that championship? I know you'd love to have both, but if it's just one, which you going to take?
Well, if it's just one, I want that championship. You know, that's our goal at Junior Motorsports this year, is to bring the championship here and get all our great partners like Pax Slayer the recognition that comes with it. But certainly we don't want to look away from the wins either, because those are a huge deal, and Daytona was a big deal for us last week.
Yeah, well, we know those wins will add up to championships. Our mailbag question comes from Tyler in Platteville, Wisconsin, and he asks, what is the biggest challenge as a driver having to race a big track like Daytona one weekend and then turn around and race a smaller track like Phoenix the next?
Well, I think that, you know, as a driver, you got two totally different elements there that you're racing within. Last week was one thing with the draft, and what we do with those cars this week's completely different. Drives like a short track with the braking zone, stuff like that. So just adjust and adapt to that overall is a tough situation. But, you know, we all have done this for a living, so it's, you know, at this point, it should come natural.
All right, Regan, you have a great day. Thanks for talking with us, and we'll look forward to talking with you later on, maybe.
Guys, thanks.
Regan figures to be one of the featured players of today's coverage, as are the three drivers we're about to hear about. We begin with Dave Burns.
Well, Alan, as for Regan Smith, who we just spoke to, he told me this morning that if they handed out the trophy before we started the race, we'd all be in trouble. He was referring to Kyle Busch, his overall speed this weekend and his recent dominance here in the Nationwide Series. 6 wins overall, including last year's sweep. This weekend, he's got his Sprint Cup crew chief, his crew as usual, and his crew chief, Adam Stevens. They'll have to get through him to get to victory lane. Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Dave, pole sitter Brad Keselowski has 27 victories in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, but ironically, none of them have come right here. Now, he knows he has finished second here 3 times in the last 5 races. He also knows he's been the victim of the last pass to the lead in the win here way too many times. Today, he says, I want to be able to use all the muscle I can muster in my Mustang to keep that from happening. Jamie Little.
Well, Kyle Larson is running full-time in the Sprint Cup Series, but he's running most of the races here. And in order to help him with the transition, his crew chief, Scott Zipadelli, working closely with that Cup team. So far, it's working. He qualified in the top 10 again. He'll roll off 9th. Alan?
Okay, Jamie, thanks. Coming to green, if you're looking for our broadcast in Spanish, activate your SAP button. Presented by ESPN Deportes. Tricky turn number 2. And that dog leg on the back, always an exciting spot to watch, especially when the field is bunched up for the start or a restart. Ready to go green for race number 2 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season at Phoenix. Brad Keselowski in the black and white 22, sharing the front row with Brian Scott. Ty Dillon having a little trouble hanging onto that 3 car in the corner.
Yeah, and that's Kevin Harvick in the 88 today. Could see him down on the apron already, utilizing that. We'll see that more as the drivers get more laps on the tires and they try to help make their cars turn the center of the corner.
Yeah, the way they do that, they set them up really free, and that looks like what Ty Dillon is dealing with right here. They've got the car very free for late in the run. Right now, he's just trying to hang on.
Free where the back end wants to wiggle out from under you when you turn the wheel into the corner. Keselowski leads. Surprise, Kyle Busch right on his back bumper in second.
Yeah, I think when you talk to everyone, the other drivers, these were the 2 drivers and teams that everyone focused on that have been the best here. And, of course, with Kyle's wins here, you know that. But as we can see, Harvick still trying to make that pass right here. But these teams, actually, they all called a break of some sort. We had a lot of rain overnight and looked like we were going to get a lot today. But the Cup Series actually had their practice sessions, and so there's rubber down on the racetrack, so probably more like what they practiced in yesterday.
A nice little battle with Ty Dillon and Kevin Harvick. You remember back at Martinsville, the truck race, where they didn't see eye to eye on that one.
Just between those 2 groups you were looking at, 3rd place changed hands. Matt Kenseth passing Brian Scott. So Keselowski, Busch, Kenseth, now the top 3. And of all the people we've talked about being a threat to stop the Kyle Busch winning streak here today, we didn't get Matt Kenseth's name in there yet.
Yeah, he's certainly one of those. Elliott Sadler there trying to take the spot away from Ty Dillon. Elliott felt very good about his practice session, his car. He felt like that they came here way better prepared this year to have a good solid run and then make a run at a win here today.
Well, I think it's him really getting infused into the organization, Joe Gibbs, and getting the cars. You know, I'm sure they're learning a lot from the 54 and Kyle Busch. That's transferring over, and he's able to take that and use it now.
Might learn here.
Yeah.
how to make a pass for the lead on Brad Keselowski as Kyle Busch is through and into the number 1 spot.
Matt Kenseth, though, he's not letting those 2 leaders get away.
Ty Dillon, Elliott Sadler, 3 and 11, racing for 6th and 7th spot. As Kenseth goes through Keselowski for 2nd.
And I think some of the same things you just said about Elliott Sadler getting accustomed to these cars can be said for Matt Kenseth last year. Even though he was somewhat successful, I think there was a time that he had to adapt to the way they did things, the way these cars drove.
That was one of the biggest surprises to me, is that he wasn't better in the Nationwide car than he was last year. He was obviously great in the Cup Series, but just not as successful in this series as I thought he would be. Like Trevor's fighting that car a little bit.
Yeah, and that's one spot that was coming off of turn 4 there, and it really flattens out quickly. There's not a lot of banking over in turns 3 and 4 anyway, but that's what you fight, is the car maybe a little bit on the tight side and got wheel in and it breaks loose on you all of a sudden. And that's why we see a lot of incidents start over off of turn 4.
7, Regan Smith running in 10th. Trevor Baynes 6th and 11th. James Buescher in the 99 is running in 12th. And that's Brendan Gaughan, the other car in the frame right behind them. So up front, Joe Gibbs Racing running 1 and 2. Kyle Busch leading Matt Kenseth. Brad Keselowski is 3rd, just underway at Phoenix International Raceway. Trying to do what no one's ever done before in the NASCAR Nationwide Series here at Phoenix. Kyle Busch trying to win a 3rd straight race at this track. He got the lead on lap number 6, and that is the gap 1st to 2nd, 54 to 20. Kyle over Matt Kenseth after just 13 completed laps. On the move in the early going, Kyle Larson in the 42.
That was another Kyle that was good in practice. We expect to be really fast, and his car is starting to come to life.
Yeah, certainly a lot of people are talking about this 42 car as one that in longer runs that they saw keep a lot of speed in his race car. So we expected big things from here. He actually qualified in the top 10, which he didn't do a lot last year as a full-time competitor here. So maybe the new qualifying format's working to his advantage.
No 2 for 1 there.
No. And Ty Dillon's making this difficult. You know, his car is good enough. He can't keep it right down the bottom, but he's able to carry a lot of speed on the exit of the corner, and he pins these other drivers down. The Elliott Sadler, as you can see, had fallen back after trying to pass this 3 car for a while, but Ty Dillon running very well.
Kyle Larson started in 9th position, and Jamie, he's up to 7th.
So far, so good, Alan. He hasn't said much on the radio yet. Scott Cipodelli, his crew chief, told me this morning they were, like you guys said, really happy with the car overall. They said they didn't have the speed they wanted in the first 5 laps, but as they went on for these longer runs, they felt like they had something to contend today.
So Larson continuing to work on Dillon there to pick up that 6th position. Check on the race for 4th. Brian Scott in the 2, pressured there by Kevin Harvick in the 88.
Yeah, I've been watching Kevin Harvick's progress. He's the fastest car on the racetrack last lap. So his car is obviously gooder in the longer runs.
The view from our Chevrolet on board with Kevin Harvick.
Which is something that we've seen from Kevin Harvick over the years in this Nationwide Series. You can see now, right there's an opportunity. He could go down on the apron, make this, and you can see Brian Scott give him that spot.
There's your 2 for 1, Alan.
I love it.
And get another one changed off the corner.
You know, you look, this is Kevin's first race driving for Junior Motorsports. Driven on most of his Nationwide Series races for either Richard Childress or his own Kevin Harvick Incorporated team in the past. And you figure, boy, that's got to be different. A lot's got to change. Except one thing. He's got his old familiar crew chief, Ernie Cope, with him, who went to Junior's team and now is at the helm here for Kevin in this 88 car.
Yeah, it looks like they're able to revive some of that magic, too.
Yeah, it certainly helps when, as a driver, when you've got a familiar face and voice there and someone that understands what you're talking about when you're telling them something. Trouble. Contact there with Keselowski.
87, Darrell Haar into the wall. Caution is out.
Sorry, you should have called that.
Well, Darrell Haar, veteran that we've seen around on a number of occasions from Canada. sounded like might have been a little confusion.
Okay, not your fault, Daryl. Not your fault.
With the spotter, and winds up with a heavily torn up race car and bringing out the first yellow of this one.
Yeah, he got contact from Brad Keselowski, who was catching him really quickly.
And they were coming up, looked like a lot of cars there.
Yeah, right here is Keselowski, and you can see the 87 just in front of Daryl Hart. I think there was a little indecision on the part of the 87 of which line to take, and he obviously chose the wrong one. This is Brad Keselowski.
It looked like Daryl Hart thought that he had enough momentum here to make the pass on the car directly in front of him. And Keselowski just a little more momentum maybe than what he thought, or just hadn't checked his mirror as they entered the corner.
Well, I think maybe one thing was happening right there is Keselowski was checking his, and he saw Kevin Harvick coming hard. He knew he needed to clear these cars.
Certainly nothing intentional there.
I just don't think that Keselowski expected him to go to the bottom.
Yes.
Winging it down. Darrell signaled to the safety workers that he is not in any distress. You see the helmet coming out as he extracts himself from the race car. So 21 laps in. Remember that by rule and as a cost-saving measure, numbers of sets of tires you can change in a nationwide series race limited by rule, but in just a 200-lap race, you have plenty of tires in the pits to do that. Will we see everybody take some on here?
Yeah, but it's still track is an important thing. The tires put up a lot of speed. I've been watching some of the lap time, so there's not a ton to be gained by 4 tires. I expect to see some 2 tire changes here. Like I said, I don't think the tire rule is going to limit much about what they'll do. But you can see some damage right there on that 22. He hit him pretty hard. I have to give that a look. It doesn't affect the grill opening. It's below that bumper line.
So I was just going to say, you know, the real
you don't
grill,
want a hole in
that's the decorative grill. The real grill is the one below the bumper.
Yeah, the worst thing that could happen there was to have a hole in it, take in air that you're not using for cooling. It hurts everything.
Pit road open.
Here comes Keselowski. He's going to get that looked at. Looks like some of the other guys are going to stay out. Like I said, track position real important here. You don't want to give it up if you don't have to, especially with a lot of guys staying out.
This could open up an opportunity for them to play a little strategy that would be different from this 54 and Kyle Busch.
Not very many takers here. A little split decision on this one, Dave.
Chase Elliott was running in the top 10 in the 9 car. He'll get some Sunoco fuel for that race car and at least 2 tires. His report was that to the center of the corner, his car was difficult to turn. As for his teammate Regan Smith, his car was loose off of turn number 4. He'll get a wedge adjustment in that car and a 4-tire stop. Dr. Jerry Bunch?
Going to be 4 tires for Brad Keselowski. Had a little issue with the right front tire. Also 2 rounds on the track bar. Brad said I'm about a 5 or 6 loose, very loose on entry. They're holding him here. They're going to put a patch over the nose where he has the damage there from the contact of the 87. Trying to put a patch there at the margin of the hood. Try to keep the hood pin in place. And going to hold him a little bit more to make sure they get more tape on it. Be very secure. Why not do it while you're here? Again, 4 tires, topping off with fuel, and 2 rounds on the track bar for Brad K. Alan?
At this point, they're going to be at the end of the field, so make sure you got it right, and then play a little strategy to try and get some track position back on a caution that might come in the near future.
Might work in his favor.
The Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, Arizona, with the NASCAR Nationwide Series just underway with the second race of the 2014 season. Hasn't been all smooth so far for some in the field, but for Kyle Busch, it's been all good as he is the leader looking for his 3rd straight win at this track. Speaking of looking for a win, so Darrell Hart's car and accident scene clean up and removed from turn 1. Now we've got a little problem at pit exit in that dogleg area of the backstretch. That's Will Kimmel, who's climbed from the 44 car. This is a little bizarre.
Hey, he's coming off pit road, not really accelerating all that hard, but it looks like something happened in the rear end, locked the 2 rear wheels up. You can see it chatter in that left rear, but the right, you can see the mark over there on the right rear too. Both wheels locked up.
So needing to remove the Kimmel car from the back straightaway and get that cleaned up before we can go back at it. Still under caution here at Phoenix. We're back after this message and a word from your ABC station. Pace car heading off, ready to go back racing here in Phoenix. Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth sharing the front row. Brad Keselowski has gone from 4th all the way back to 27th. Little give and take got him through turn 2 there. Kevin Harvick had his hands full in that 88 car.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of that, especially in that part of the racetrack. And these drivers know that. They also know that there's a possibility of rain. And speaking of that, are you surprised that maybe more didn't come in? And as a crew chief, do you look at that 100-lap mark here right now?
Well, you look at the radar more than you look at the 100-lap mark. If you feel like you can get the halfway mark before it starts raining, well, a little contact here.
Teammate contact.
Definitely intensity picking up, but that's probably why a lot of these guys stayed out. It looks like that's going to time out. We see some stuff on the radar, and if we get to halfway, they could call this thing.
All 3 Roush Fenway Mustangs right there. Trevor Bayne 6, Ryan Reed 16, and 60 Chris Buescher.
Ryan Reed did a nice job. So many times you get in that situation, you don't clear that. You see, this is on the exit of the corner, turn 4 we talked about. You can see how that car, he got back in the gas and just shoved it out, and the only thing that stopped him was his teammate being there.
You can hear him even working the throttle. Trying to stay off of it.
Sorry, Andy, from our Dexcom glucose monitor onboard cam for Ryan Reed.
I'll let you in. That's what he wants to do, is pinch you down there, because he knows that makes it more difficult for you. The more you have wheel you have to put in there, and you try to stay in the gas, then your car's not going to react the way that you want it to. It's either going to slide the nose or you're going to lose the back end a little bit. So that's exactly what Trevor Bayne was wanting to do, was to try to hold his position.
Remember, Reed was involved in that heavy crash after the checkered flag at Daytona last Saturday. Obviously, he's A-OK and in good racing condition, and out there trying to hang on to a 16 car that's sliding all over the place, Dave.
And very competitive, as you saw with his teammate. He is trying to manage his race car right now, Alan. He radioed in that it was a tick-free. They stayed out that time, did not come down pit road. But he said, if we had, I really didn't want you to tighten it up at all. He thinks the car will come around to him if he just hangs on to it for a while.
So Reed falling back now to 13th place as Mike Bliss has gotten by him. And look who's right behind him. Brad Keselowski trying to charge forward after falling all the way back to 27th with that damage in the incident that brought out the only caution. Regan Smith, one of those who pitted on the yellow flag, running in 16th place right now, and maybe lucky to be doing so.
The racing quarter's kind of tight around here, but you can see, whoa, wow, that could have been really, really big.
From the TaxSlayer.com on board.
Did a little contact there between Ryan Sieg and Jamie Dixon. It's just, boy.
I tell you what, it worked out, but it shouldn't have.
Yeah, it shouldn't have. Right. Yeah. You saw right behind Regan was his teammate in Chase Elliott, so it had to be something that that team had planned if an early caution came out.
Yeah, one thing I see Regan doing right there was shifting. We saw him going from third to fourth, coming off of turn 2. See right there, downshifting, getting into turn 1. I don't know how many drivers are doing this. We've heard reports that some of the junior motorsports cars were shifting. Definitely see that here.
Brendan Gaughan, 62, was the first one off of pit road of the cars that made the stops back at lap 22. He restarted in the 19th position and just gave up 15th place to Regan Smith.
Yeah, doing that, what it does is it gives you more RPM and a lower gear to get acceleration on the exit of the corner, which can help you make a pass and carry more speed back through that dog leg on the back straightaway. But this is a difficult track with both hands on the wheel all the time as a driver, so it gives you just something else to do.
Yeah, and it's one of the other element that can hurt your durability some too, because it's harder on the engine. Obviously the transmission gets more work, and it's an opportunity to make a mistake.
Saw Chase Elliott pick up a spot in the 9. On Brendan Gaughan, here's Brad Keselowski trying to work his way back to the front. Remember, Keselowski took the damage to the nose of that 22 car, pitted under the caution, gave up 4th spot, went back to 27th, and he just picked up 12th.
Yeah, I think this team's really in a good spot as far as looking at the possibility of racing to that lap 100 or somewhere around there to begin with, and then worry about it from there. But as others have to make some pit stops coming up here, they'll be able to continue on for a while.
Update on that 22 from Doc.
DJ, you're right on the money. Based on fuel calculations, because of the number of caution laps run, the 22 car can almost make it on one more stop, which means they can go to about lap 115, well beyond the halfway mark if the rains come, and others may have to pit, so they're in really good shape right now.
Brad with our Ford EcoBoost onboard camera.
Yeah, sometimes you have a situation that happens in a race and you think it's something bad and you see the damage on the front of the car, but it can change your fate a little bit. And a lot of times we see it work out for the better. It changes the strategy, and now it's put him in a different position anyway. We don't know if it's a better position, but definitely in a different position strategy-wise.
And while all that's been going on in the pack, nothing's changed up front. Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, 1, 2, and 3, and all running about the same distance apart that they've been since the first couple of laps after the restart. Not only does Kyle Busch lead all drivers in laps led here at Phoenix, but now that he's led 37 today, he's led twice as many laps as any other driver here at Phoenix. Carl Edwards has second most laps led in the Nationwide Series at this track. Kyle's doubled it. He's probably pretty good here, huh?
Got it figured out, I think.
Yeah. Kyle Busch is from Las Vegas. He's leading today here at Phoenix. He hopes to be the one leading when the checkered flag waves next Saturday in his hometown, because the Nationwide Series race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway has been one of the few that's eluded him. He'd like that trophy. See it on ESPN2 next Saturday at 4 Eastern Time. Also, see it live on Watch ESPN. Kyle's led all but 5 laps today so far here in Phoenix. It's Kyle and Matt Kenseth, 1 and 2. Those two cars, both out of the Joe Gibbs Racing stables, holding down the top 2 spots for most of the distance. After Brad Keselowski led the opening 5 laps from the pole, it's been all Kyle since. There's Kevin Harvick running in third and closing.
Yeah, he's had the fastest lap time. A number, probably out of the last 5 laps, 3 of those he's been a little bit faster, but he lost a couple of tenths the last lap.
42 Kyle Larson running in 4th. And Elliott Sadler rounding out the top 5 in the 3rd of the Joe Gibbs Racing entry. So 3 out of the top 5 belonging to the Gibbs guys. So while Kyle puts the 26th place car, Jamie Dick, a lap down. We talked about shifting a little bit ago, and we certainly aren't the only ones to notice it.
Hey, what's up with this shifting? The 88 shifted down here through 1 and 2. Yeah, guys been playing with that. 10-4.
It looks like other teams have noticed that. What we saw, that some of the junior motorsports cars are shifting down to 3rd gear in turn 1.
And as a driver, you don't want to even begin to think that somebody might have a slight advantage by doing something different than what you're doing.
To get in your head?
Oh, it aggravates you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big advantage here is that turn 1 is pretty tight. You have to slow the car down a lot. Now, if he wasn't, he saw you downshift. You watch the RPMs. If he wasn't shifting down, that RPM would go down to about 5,500 or so. These engines make peak power around 7,500. So he can downshift, go right to the throttle and have peak power. Even if it's just a short period of time, it's turning out to be a little bit of an advantage, at least on warm tires. When they run a few laps and the lap times are starting to slow down, it does give him that extra squirt off the corner that helps. Especially in traffic. You see, catching these slow cars really helps you just get that extra little boost coming up off the corner. Really obvious right there.
Yeah, and Harvick being a good road racer, accustomed to the shifting and things, so it's really no problem for him. You can see making good time.
So Kevin running 3rd, 2 seconds behind Kyle Busch, and again that gap that has shrunk a little bit as this run has gone on. Ryan Reed in the 16 car also onto the trend.
On channel 2 here, Southeast, that 7 and that 88 are shifting. 10-4, we talked about that leading up, and our motor guys didn't want us shifting.
Yes, most times motor guys don't want you to do that because it does add a lot to the average RPM that you're turning around the racetrack, and like I said, it's an opportunity to have a failure or make a mistake.
Yeah, so with that, just you pointed out, and you're going to be at a higher RPM more times, and that can create problems, or the problems could come in missing a shift at some point in time.
Reed running there with his teammate Chris Buescher in the 60, who had to get over the heartbreak of not getting into the race at Daytona last weekend. Had a great qualifying run here at Phoenix for this race. Started in 12th position, and Buescher running in 12th right now.
Some of these young drivers doing a really good job. This is a difficult racetrack, and they haven't had time to go test much over the winter and getting prepared for places like this, and there really is no place like Phoenix. So you come here and try and get accustomed on Friday afternoon in a quick fashion.
Yeah, most of the rookies did an excellent job last week at Daytona, staying out of trouble, get good finishes. But this is a different racetrack. This one is easy to overdrive and to get yourself in trouble. And so it's a little more pressure on these rookies to do a good job here against some really stout competition.
Chase Elliott.
One of them. Threading the needle. Chase Elliott.
From our Napa on board. Talked about going into the race at Daytona last week. The very interesting crop of rookie drivers for the Nationwide Series this year and how they'd fare as the year went on, and certainly how they'd fare at Daytona. Pretty well was the answer to the question.
They did an outstanding job in very difficult conditions at Daytona. And doing well here once again today.
Looking from Ty Dillon's Nationwide Insurance camera as he runs in 6th position. Weren't with us earlier. The back end of Ty's car was kind of bobbing and weaving around a little bit. Looks like that stabilized out some.
He's having a pretty solid run so far.
Dillon with Brian Scott and Trevor Bayne on his back bumper as they race for 6th, 7th, and 8th. That's going on 9 seconds behind the race leader Kyle Busch, who is in command today here at Phoenix so far. Matt Kenseth hanging right with him. Just about, just a little past a quarter of the distance scheduled in today's race. The Blue Jeans Go Green 200 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Phoenix International Raceway has been green for a lot of it. Just one caution flag has slowed the affair so far, and Kyle Busch has done almost all of the leading. Got a new second place runner just behind him, though. It was Matt Kenseth for most all of the distance of this race. Now it's Kevin Harvick behind Kyle Busch by about 1.4 seconds. Harvick passing Kenseth just a couple laps ago. So let's catch you up on everyone's stories at the front part of the field. We go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance, and Dave is reporting on the leader.
Alan, every time we talk about Kyle Busch's dominance here at Phoenix in the Nationwide Series, you wonder why. So I asked Adam Stevens that question this morning, and he said, I really don't have an answer for you because I haven't been here testing with Kyle, but I think there's something that he inherently likes about this place that other drivers are not willing to do. I said, is it attack the track? He said, well, he does that well. He attacks aggressively, but he doesn't overuse his equipment. Right now, the car just a little bit tight. The 88 of Kevin Harvick into second place now, as you noted. 16 races this year for him with Junior Motorsports. Right now, that car just a little bit too free for him to hustle it the way he wants to. They'll make an adjustment when they come down pit road for the first time. Jamie?
And behind him is Matt Kenseth, saying the car's just been a little bit free all race long. Working with new crew chief this year, Kevin Kidd. And Kevin told me it's been an honor to work with him. He's actually been leaning on Jason Ratcliffe, Matt's Cup crew chief, and it's really helped them get up to speed quicker. Behind him is Kyle Larson. Crew chief Scott Zipadelli told me working with Kyle these last 2 weeks has been a blast, that he said they're just flying by the seat of their pants trying to figure out what it is that Kyle Larson needs, what that feel is, and it's been working out so far. The car is very good. Kyle behind the wheel saying he's happy. Behind him, Elliott Sadler, coming off a great run at Daytona 1 week ago, finished 5th and told me they're excited to start this year out. It's the second year working with Chris Gale as crew chief. They believe in each other and what they started to build at the end of last season. Elliott's saying the car is okay, but these guys want some changes that'll be coming up here shortly, Doc.
And back behind him in 6th spot, the 3 car, rookie Ty Dillon. Now, Ty said the car was tight, middle exit when the race began, and it has gotten tighter and tighter. His latest report, guys, this thing is really plowing. His grandfather, Richard Childers, said, just take it easy. We're going to make an adjustment. They're going to take wedge out of the left rear and put tires on in their first stop. Jamie.
And Trevor Bayne running behind him in the 6th car, coming off the 3rd place finish last week in Daytona. So far today, he said this is the best turning car he's ever had at Phoenix, but he's just struggling on the short run a bit has been the problem. Canella's just on him, and they're looking to pit in about 15 laps, Dave.
Brian Scott needs rear grip in that race car. They didn't have a lap for Brian, but he'll probably come with most everybody that did not stop the first time. Double duty for him this weekend. He'll start 32nd in tomorrow's race. A good way for this young driver to get lots of laps at Phoenix. Doc?
And pole sitter Brad Keselowski has come from a 27th starting spot on the restart all the way up to 9th position. Brad, who made the pit stop on lap 21 because of damage in the nose, contact with the 87 car, and also a chassis adjustment. The car was way too free. It is much better now, and they can go to lap 110 or beyond on fuel. Jamie.
And behind him in the 99, James Busher driving for a new team this year, trying to feel their way around. The car has been okay, just saying he's a little bit loose in, so they're going to look to make some adjustments as he has a 31 breathing down his neck. Let's go back upstairs to Alan.
Okay, Jamie, thanks. You heard some of the references there in the up to speed about when we might see people pit. We've got a split schedule of drivers.
Speaking of split,
as Kwasniewski goes down to the inside of the lap car. No 2 for 1, though. James Busher held the spot in the 99. So you got the top 8, plus 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, all have not yet pitted in the field. Brad Keselowski up to 9th place, stopped at lap 22, along with about a dozen other cars. So we're creeping to that point where these guys that haven't stopped yet are going to hope for a caution, or we're going to see them on pit road under the green.
Yeah, and those other cars, like you mentioned, Brad Keselowski being the first one that could go about 20 laps farther. And we're looking at about 90 laps, which is the outside window on these fuel tanks. That won't get most of those guys to the halfway mark, but Keselowski will get there for sure.
And I'll just mention that the radar isn't completely clear nearby, so that's a factor in this also. Ty Dillon holding off Trevor Bayne for 6th and 7th. Kyle Busch holding off everyone for the race lead.
Welcome back to Phoenix International Raceway. Green flag pit stops underway. Kyle Larson in his pit box wanting some adjustments to help him out, although he had worked his way up to 3rd as he feels that it was a good pit stop. Meanwhile, Dylan Kwasniewski in his pit box making his 2nd ever Nationwide Series start. And it's a little bit long. They got to top him off. It's all about fuel as the raindrops are slowly falling. Meanwhile, Elliott Sadler in the 11 car makes his way down pit road. Been pretty happy with the race car. Remember, he won this race here 2 years ago. You see the wrench in the back window, making that adjustment there. They'll work on the left-hand side, put those sticker tires on. And the clock ticks down and away. Good stop. 12.9, Alan.
Kyle Busch continuing to lead, just shy of halfway. The drivers who did not pit under the race's only caution that came out back at lap 20, beginning to filter onto the pit road for green flag stops here. Kyle, Matt Kenseth, Trevor Bayne, Ty Dillon, Brian Scott, the top 5. All have not yet pitted. There's Brad Keselowski in the 22 trying to take 5th away from Scott. Brad did pit under the yellow at lap 22. He can go another 20 laps.
Yeah, we saw Kevin Harvick in 88. He made one of the first stops of these cars because he's shifting like we talked about. That does use quite a bit more fuel.
.45-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit here at Phoenix in the interest of safety. And Scott to the attention of his crew and Dave.
Squealing to a stop there, but safely in. A 4-tire stop for him. Remember, they talked about needing rear grip. The wrench going in the rear window there, that'll help adjust the chassis to make this car grip better as he exits the corner. 4-tire stop. Jamie?
And Matt Kenseth in the 20 car once again. He'll be in this car 18 races this year, saying the car was a little bit loose early on, but it's come around to him. 4 tires was the call. Doc?
Ty Dillon saying the car's been very tight. They will put 4 tires, 4 fresh Goodyear, fill it up with Sunoco fuel, and take a round or so out of the left rear on wedge, trying to get the car freed up from center off. Dillon, the rookie, said the car just too hard to turn coming up off the turn. Good right side tire change, left side tires going on. He revs the engine down and away, 14. Jamie.
Trevor Bayne saying it's the best turning car he has had at this track, but he's saying he's getting snappy loose as he exits the corner. They're going to make a track bar adjustment there. They already did on the right-hand side. They'll fill him up with fuel and put 4 sticker tires on. Meanwhile, James Busher is making his way into the pit box in the 99 machine. Good call there. Right side tires for the 99. Filled him up with Sunoco fuel. He makes his way down pit road, that long, winding pit road, Alan.
Well, it's got to be nice to have a car that's not only fast, but it's getting good mileage, too. Kyle Busch still out there and still in the lead.
Yeah, one thing when you have a car like this, and the way that Kyle drives his car is he doesn't use a lot of brakes. So it's momentum, and he lets the car roll, and it makes it kind of nice, and you can save fuel with that with a good handling race car. How about it, Dave?
Well, DJ, they asked him about 20 or 30 laps ago, hey, you need to come in at about 20 laps unless you save me some fuel. And Kyle said, yeah, I've been saving. So they automatically added 5 laps. That communication between crew chief and driver, knowing what you saved me some means, has allowed him to stay out this much longer. They're coming in now, as you can hear.
You see the hand out the window, but he's still not going to be able to make it to the end of the race. He'll still have to make another pit stop.
Adam Stevens, the crew chief there, we saw on the right, has won 3 straight races here. The last 2 with Kyle, and 1 before that. The crew chief trying to win a 4th straight race. It's pretty impressive.
Well, these races a lot of times come down to pit strategy, so he's done a good job with that.
So Kyle in. Brad Keselowski will take over the lead. Remember, they're on 2 different pit stop schedules for the moment. Dave?
Most recent report, tight from the center off. He skids to a stop, does not go over the end line. Was asked not to get a speeding penalty coming down pit road because they didn't need it. 4 tire change for him. Looks like it's just going to be an air pressure adjustment for Kyle. Dominating this race so far. Remember, that's his Sprint Cup crew servicing the vehicle, and he's out of here.
Now we'll see just how far Brad Keselowski's team is going to try to stretch this fuel.
You would have to think if at all possible they want to get to where they know that there's that opportunity with their driver saving a little bit, that they can make this on this one stop here.
And I have to think he's
got trouble though.
Yep.
Yeah,
car in trouble. Derek Cope. Yellow flag is out.
Yeah, right. Looked like right front tire went down on Derek Cope's car.
Pitted earlier.
Second yellow flag of the race, and that changes that strategy picture around a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say a whole lot. Yeah, definitely a right front down. A lot of times here, your car's not handling very well. As a driver, you'll have to use more brake to try to make it turn, and you'll melt the bead on that right front tire.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that. When you see a right front tire or a failure like that, it most of the time is on these short racetracks where you're using a lot of brake, is that overheating of the inside of that bead, and then it lets go. Actually, kind of charcoals the bead is what it looks like. It finally melts till it just lets all the air out of it all at once.
Derek was running in 29th place, and unfortunately has a torn up race car now, and we're under caution. Just shy of halfway. What the yellow does is it traps us with just 8 cars on the lead lap. 5 of them were on that earlier pit stop schedule. So we'll see them in, including Keselowski, Regan Smith, Chase Elliott, Brendan Gaughan, and Ryan Sieg. Then the question becomes, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Matt Kenseth. They're the other 3 on the lead lap. Do you pit and top off the fuel here to try and make a run at it, or do you just stay out and take the track position?
Well, there's something that's complicating the issue a little bit, and that's that radar, because I don't think they can make it to the full 200 laps if they pit now, but it would extend how long they can stay on the track do we happen to get some of that rain.
So here's why Eddie talks about the complicating thing. There are some showers popping up here and there around us.
And there's not a lot to lose here for those guys that are on the lead lap. Like you said, there's only 8 cars that are on the lead lap. They only need just a splash of gas. It's not like they're going to sit there for a long time taking tires like you're going to see the 22 and some of the cars that have been out there a while.
Kyle Larson gets the free pass. He'll get back around on the lead lap. That means he'll be able to pit the next time around. A lot of the other guys that just pitted can get back on the lead lap by not stopping here and taking a wave around. but they'll be behind all of these cars that are able to come in here. Dave?
Chase Elliott told his crew his car was great getting into the corner, but from the center off, it was tight. So he'll get a track bar adjustment, 4 tires, and Sunoco fuel. As for Regan Smith, center of your screen, he'll be coming down around the corner. His car needs rear grip. They'll give him 4 tires, make an air pressure adjustment. Doc?
On the biggest screen, Brad Kozlowski, about a 3 or 4 loose. Going to take air out of the right rear. Track bar adjustment, wedge adjustment, right rear, 4 tires, full of fuel, and he cannot make it the rest of the way. They'll have to make one more stop. He's away.
No, Andy, you were talking about Kyle Busch and those people being back there and just getting a splash of gas, maybe getting out, but they're so far back behind them that those guys could change 4 tires and they were still going to beat them out. So it wasn't worth it no longer than what they've been out there.
There's very little to gain. Like I said, they could have gained maybe a lap or 2, whatever it was on fuel, but that wasn't enough to give up these spots.
The Wicked Tuna race off pit road. Not as many names and numbers on there as we usually see. But this is going to twist around the running order at the front of the pack. Check that out after this message and a word from our ABC stations. And that exchange of pit stops, both the green and caution ones, put Kevin Harvick ahead of Kyle Busch. So Harvick in the 88, now the control car for the restart, with Kyle second, Matt Kenseth third, Brad Keselowski fourth, and Chase Elliott fifth. There were 7 cars that took a wave around to get back on the lead lap. They include Elliott Sadler, Ty Dillon, Trevor Bayne, Brian Scott, James Buescher, Ryan Reed, and Dylan Kwasniewski. 104 laps to go. Look at that. Contact there. Dillon 3 into the bumper of Joey Gase in the 52.
You got some fast cars that started behind a lot of slower cars because they took the wave around. That kind of caused a bottleneck over there.
It makes it interesting on that restart as they can fan out.
And up front,
turn 2.
Sorry, DJ, up front, new leader. Kyle Busch got by Kevin Harvick.
Not like he's a new leader, but
I know.
retook the lead.
Yeah. That goes under the what else is new at Phoenix file?
Exactly. Keselowski's car was really good that last day. You see it a little loose right there trying to make that pass on Kenseth, though.
Like it's a lot looser than he expected.
Here's Regan Smith creeping into the picture, the Daytona winner. Kind of figuring out of this pack that's behind these leaders, we might get us a caution flag somewhere in the near future.
Well, they're giving it their best effort. They just haven't made it happen yet. But, you know, as I look at Regan Smith and Chase Elliott right here, that strategy they employed early on, coming that first caution and getting tires and everything, has got them in a really good spot here. Both of them up in the top 6 there as they run 5th and 6th.
Update on Smith from Dave.
Now, just talking about that win last week in Daytona, of course, that was last week, but Regan said, I really got a chance to enjoy it as he looks like he's going to get an attempt from his young teammate for that position. He said, I got a chance after I got home to read all the tweets, see all the photos, and it really sunk into me just how special that win at Daytona was. And then, of course, when the boss won on Sunday night, he said, man, you should have seen the energy at our shop this week. It was something else.
Yeah, that's special to do that. I'll tell you what I like is not only the energy, but the driving talents of this young man in that 9 car, Chase Elliott. That was pretty impressive, the pass that he made there. But I've just been watching him around other cars here on a very, very difficult racetrack. And, I watched him last week. He did an outstanding job. Probably the worst that he ran or was all day, or his finishing spot was the worst that he had been all day. He just got in the wrong lane at the wrong time. But this is a very talented young man and got a pretty good teacher.
So Chase Elliott running in 5th position. 3, Ty Dillon. 31, Dylan Kwasniewski for a spot there. That's for 14th. Check that, 15th and 16th.
Yes, these situations that you like to watch these young drivers. How do they handle these tighter situations, getting through some lap traffic, but also dealing with cars that are on the same lap as them? Maybe they've been a little bit faster, but this has put them in that position. How do they handle this? Can they move forward or not create any problems and be able to continue on throughout the day? It's so easy whenever you've been running up in the top 10 and then circumstances have relegated you. Whoa, that was close.
Yeah.
Relegated you back a little bit. That to get a little bit frustrated because you can't go forward as quick as you would like, but this is a tough place to pass.
And not only that, you're out there on older tires than some of the other guys that you're trying to chase down. Remember, Ty Dillon caught having to take a wave around here, so you can't come in and pit. So Dillon and Kwasniewski and these guys that had to take that pass around the pace car are all out there on a different pit stop schedule now than some of the guys they're trying to chase down.
Yeah, he's got about 10 laps more on his tires than the cars that just made that caution flag stop.
Now, this isn't one of the tracks where that's as big a disadvantage as it is at some other places like Atlanta or something. But still,
yes,
you lost all that track position, and it does make some difference. We're across halfway, so even if the weather interferes from this point, we have the potential for an official race. Kyle Busch is out in front. The NASCAR Nationwide Series running the Blue Jeans Go Green 200 at Phoenix International Raceway, with a reminder here to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. We're across halfway. Kyle Busch has dominated so far. This is Kyle Larson, 42, who took the free pass at the last caution, trying to hold off Elliott Sadler in the 11. They're racing for 8th and 9th spots that's gone back and forth a couple of times.
Yeah, Larson looks like he struggles a little bit on that restart as he was in that traffic and stuff. Maybe all you have to do is get in the wrong lane at the wrong time and lose some momentum, and 4 or 5 cars go by you, but making his way back forward now.
Definitely in that first run, the 2 cars that I saw were the best as they made laps was Kyle Larson in the 42 and the 88 of Kevin Harvick. It seems like the more laps they run, the better their cars are. So right here with these fresh tires, they're not at the advantage that they had.
Trevor Bayne drawing into that fight for position with Elliott Sadler. Bayne running in 10th place. Trevor carrying our AdvoCare on board today at Phoenix.
Oh, having to work that car a little bit.
Yeah, now I would have thought maybe that's what Elliott Sadler looked like right in front of him, as you can see his car kind of wiggle over there in the middle of 3 and 4.
Jamie's covering Bayne for us today.
And he's running 10th right now, Alan. He actually just told the team his car feels different this time around. It's not as good, and they said that the tires they put on the last stop had a couple of heat cycles in them already. So he said, hang tight. And oh, by the way, we didn't get you full on that stop, so we're definitely going to have to pit again.
Oh, boy. Everybody's going to have to pit again. The question is if you have to stop before circumstances even it out with everybody else. So we'll see. And how about Ryan Sieg, 26-year-old Georgia native, had a top 10 finish at Daytona last week, and here he is again running well at Phoenix.
Yeah, just really doing a nice job. You know, we saw him spin late in the race last week at Daytona, but to come in, get tires back on it, and came back inside the top 10. Doing a nice job here today. Really good effort.
Just his 6th career NASCAR Nationwide Series start. A veteran of NASCAR's Camping World Truck Series. And the racetrack where he scored his best finish in his Truck Series career. Check with Dave.
And doing it with a veteran crew chief, but a very small family-owned operation. About 30 miles outside of Atlanta, 4 people work on this car during the week. Kevin Starland is the crew chief. Cowboy has a lot of experience, but not very many folks getting it done. And Ryan getting it done behind the wheel.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. And like I say, they got a good break with that caution when it came out. It worked in their favor. And they need to try to take that and parlay it into a good finish. He's not as fast as some of the cars around him, as you can see here with the 2-car Brian Scott getting by. But he does have a solid race car, and he can get a good finish today.
Just preparing one of these cars to get to the racetrack, any race, any one race with just 4 people is a challenge. But you want to go from Daytona to Phoenix to Las Vegas to Bristol to start the season for any of the teams, even the best funded of them. The start of this nationwide schedule is challenging for people. Hats off to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Kyle Busch dominating at Phoenix so far. 119 laps been run. He's led 106 of them, but he's still got 81 more to go.
Gear.
Yeah. And find another gear.
Yeah.
Kevin Harvick running in second, trying to chase down leader Kyle Busch, who has not yet ridden off into the sunset, especially because sunset's a few hours away, but he's trying.
Doing his best.
Kyle out in front by 2.5 seconds and having another dominating performance, trying to do what no one's ever done before in NASCAR Nationwide Series competition, and that's win 3 consecutive races at this racetrack. There is your race leader. And there is a fight for 11th and 12th spots between James Buescher and Brian Scott, with Ty Dillon there right in the mix also.
Watching lap times, Ty Dillon's car is starting to come to life now.
Yeah, they said they needed to free that 3 car up some, and could have got him a little bit too much to that free side, and it took a little bit for it to come in, but starting to make some moves and move back forward towards the top 10 now.
So if you were with us earlier, race ran green for almost all of its first half, with the exception of one caution at lap number 20 when Darrell Haar and Brad Keselowski made contact and Haar crashed. Half the field pitted under that lap 20 caution. Most of the front runners did not. Set us up on 2 different pit stop schedules. Brought about a series of green flag pit stops between laps 78 and 88, and just after Kyle Busch made his pit stop under green at lap 88, the caution came out for Derek Cope and a crash in turn 3. That's juggled up the pit sequence of a lot of drivers and put a lot of guys in a hole where they had to take a wave around. The guys that had made green flag pit stops to get back on the lead lap. Wasn't so for Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick or Matt Kenseth. They were able to be on the tail end of the lead lap when that caution came out, but for about everybody else, they got caught by that yellow flag at the end of green flag pit stops, and they're trying to dig back out of the hole that caution flag created.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition, but it really makes it, when one car is running so well, and then you've got Harvick and you've got Kenseth, it really makes it to where you almost have to be perfect, and you don't have many chances to work on your car. Because we talked about him only being on pit road 2-3 times at max throughout this day, and the drivers really have to fight through a lot and give good information to the crew chiefs.
Yeah, and they can give you a lot of that good information, and there's not a lot you can do with it. Like you said, you're not going to be on pit road but a couple of times to even get your hands on the car. So the driver, this is really a driver's racetrack. He has to adapt to what he has out there and make the most of it. And that's why I think we see a lot of these Cup drivers like Kyle Busch be able to take whatever he has and really make it work.
Yeah, this, I said it a few minutes ago that how impressed I am with Chase Elliott, but this is outstanding. I mean, we saw him a few minutes ago passing his teammate Regan Smith. He drove off from here and literally run down Brad Keselowski here at a difficult track. You see Keselowski pretty loose right there.
And Keselowski gets way out of shape, and now you can see Chase Elliott right up on the bumper.
This is for 4th place as the 18-year-old son of Awesome Bill tries to pick up a spot on former Sprint Cup champ, Dave.
And Alan, isn't it the sign of a great race car driver when, even though they're not happy with their race car, they continue to make progress? In fact, right now, the car is maybe as bad as it's been all day long for him. Freer into the corner and snugger from the center off the corner. So they'll try to make adjustments for that, but even so, it's a fast race car, and Chase is wheeling it. Dr. Punch?
And likewise, Brad Keselowski does not like his race car right now. You heard Andy mention a moment ago he's very loose. Andy, you're right on. Brad had been about a 3 or 4 loose prior to that pit stop, and Brad requested a wedge adjustment in the right rear and air pressure, which is what they did. Now Brad says it's even worse. I'm loose in, I'm a little loose off, and I'm really tight in the middle. He's got his hands full right now.
That's a really bad situation. It's kind of decoupled. You've got a car that's tight in the middle, but it's loose in and loose off the corner. That's hard to fix. Uh-oh.
Caution. Engine letting go in Jamie Dix, 55 car.
Down on the bottom, down on the bottom.
Tough break for the Texas native who ran so well at Daytona last week.
Yeah, sure did.
Take it right to the garage. Just roll right onto the garage.
So third caution with 66 laps to go, and now...
Yeah, this should drag them all in because they can make it from here. Probably see some guys just take fuel, some take 2 tires. I don't think we'll see too many 4-tire stops among the leader.
Yeah, I would prefer getting 2 as a driver. You're going to have to take the time to put the fuel in anyway, and I think you can get those 2 tires.
Nice break for all the guys like Ty Dillon there who took the wave around. They get to come in, get even up on fuel.
Yeah, he's 13th in the running order. This is a team that could benefit from maybe just a gas-only stop. But you do need those 2 right-side tires. I'm with you. I think I would rather put the tires on and let Ty do the rest of the work.
Yeah. Free pass to Chris Buescher will get the 17th place driver back on the lead lap. And while pit road is closed, we eavesdrop on Kevin Harvick's team running second.
We got too much split in the right side tires. Like we need to come off that right rear. 10-4. I'm asking. I'm not telling you. I'm just asking. Well, I was gonna put the right sides back to where we started, and I was gonna put a half pound on the left rear at the next stop.
So that was under green, and now Ernie Cope gets a chance to put an action plan into play on that on Kevin Harvick's car under the caution.
Yeah, to make all that work, he needs to put 4 tires on.
Yeah. But that's such great information, and Kevin Harvick has that feel for his race car and can give that feedback. And his crew chief's sitting there thinking a lot the same way as to what he might do to help Kevin.
Pit road will be open here.
That's the benefit of having worked together, these 2.
Yeah.
They need to go down and make an adjustment on the 54 for him. That might help them the most, more than making it on his car.
Yeah. The money stop is here. Last chance to get your hands on the race car. Between now and the checkered flag, let's see who does what. Jamie?
Matt Kenseth tells his crew chief, Kevin Kidd, I'm not sure what to say about the balance. My brakes are worn out and it's making me freeze, so right side tires only. Dave?
Cope encouraged the crew of the second place runner to get the whole can of fuel in, and then there'll be 6 laps to the good and tighten it up significantly. As for leader Kyle Busch on the bottom, he'll get an adjustment for the car. 2 tires to the right side only. Doc?
Brad Keselowski put that round back in the right rear, 2 right side tires down on the track bar. Hopefully they fix the problem that's been bothering him. Really, really loose race car, guys.
Rights.
Yeah.
So that's the strategy. Kyle Busch holding the lead on the pit stops. Back for the restart after this message and a word from your ABC station. Down to the stretch run today here at Phoenix in the Blue Jeans Go Green 200. Kyle Busch, the leader, under caution, cleaning up fluid from Jamie Dick's engine that failed on the front straightaway of the Desert Mile. Off the pit stops, Busch leading, Brad Keselowski, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, and our ESPN in-race reporter for the day, Regan Smith, who runs 5th.
Hey, Regan, Dale Jarrett. Good to talk?
Yeah, I got you, DJ.
All right, man. Well, looks like you and your team have played this strategy pretty much to perfection here today. Got yourself in a good spot here. But how about your race car?
Yeah, we've been struggling with the car just a little bit. It's not quite as good as it was at the end of practice yesterday, but we've been working hard on it and making adjustments to try and get it where we need it to be. The strategy's worked out in our favor. I made a mistake early on. Probably should have stayed out, but when it was all said and done, it worked out pretty good for us, sir.
As far as the racetrack goes, is there any one thing that you're fighting with your car?
We've just been tight. You know, we can't seem to get our left front to work quite like I'd like for it to be happy through the corner. But outside of that, that's been the main thing, just fight tight in the middle.
All right, man. Thanks for talking. Good luck in these last 60 laps.
All right, thanks, DJ.
Regan Smith running in 5th position. Got a lot of oil dry. They're still working to clean up. Got some sweepers out on the track. It'll be a lap or 2 before we go back to green. Take a break, come back for the restart in just a minute to Phoenix International Raceway. March 22nd, 1964, they held the first professional race here at Phoenix International Raceway. It was a USAC Champ Car race. A.J. Foyt led every lap and won. A.J. here this weekend as part of the track's 50th anniversary celebration, and that great display down on the Fan Midway being enjoyed by a lot of folks during the weekend. NASCAR Nationwide Series began racing here a few years back and is getting ready to finish up its 25th contest on this mile track, with Kyle Busch trying to do something that no one has done in those 25 race history, win 3 straight.
He's also going to try a little different strategy here. He's going to restart on the outside lane this time.
Taking a look at the restart order, Kevin Harvick losing some ground on that pit stop from 2nd to 4th. .58 laps to go. How did he lead that lap?
I don't know. I thought Keselowski had him for sure and was actually going to be able to clear him, maybe get up in front of him.
Not done yet.
Just can't quite get clear.
You'd think he almost is right there, but Kyle just gets back to the gas so hard. You can see it just holds Keselowski down there a little bit, and his car slips.
Wow.
Kyle Busch back in front.
That's something, isn't it?
Well, at least Brad made him work for it.
Kevin Harvick up to 3rd, Matt Kenseth 4th.
All these teams looking at that radar, so I'm sure they're going to be racing hard. We're past halfway. This thing would happen to get some rain and the track get wet and they not be able to dry it. It would be official.
Elliott Sadler 11, Chase Elliott 9, 7th and 8th place.
Yeah, Chase Elliott made on his pit stop, was watching. He lost a couple of spots, did a nice job getting in and everything, but look, I'm not sure exactly what it was, but he held off a little bit long once they dropped the jack.
Explanation on what might have happened on the 9 pit stop by their team radio.
No, that's all right. I should have communicated a little bit better what we were going to do there. Not all bad. We'll get it back on the restart. Yeah, 10-4. My fault. We're going to try to get it back here.
Yeah, and it looked like maybe he was a little unsure if they were going to just take 2 tires or 4, or was he just supposed to go when they dropped the jack or that communication. So that's just things that this team will learn as they move forward.
James Buescher, 99, trying to grab a spot now from Chase Elliott. That'll be 8th and 9th place. A couple of teammates, Ty Dillon 3, Brian Scott 2. Driving for Richard Childress Racing, Dylan Kwasniewski trying to join in. That's 11th, 12th, and 13th. Everybody's even up on pit stop schedules and strategy. Everybody's good on fuel to the finish. More teammates racing. 16, Ryan Reed. 60, Chris Buescher. 62, Brendan Gaughan got a penalty for speeding on that last pit stop. He had to go from 9th place to the tail end of the line. Brendan in 17th now, trying to make up some ground.
Makes it difficult when you make a mistake like that, especially later in the race, and you know that you're going to have to really go hard at this point.
Once he cleared him, there's the gap. Kyle Busch back to Brad Keselowski. Elliott Sadler seems to have a car that's come alive here since the restart and that pit stop.
Yeah, 2 tires are a lot better for him than what that car was. Probably some adjustment that they made too, but he was struggling before they made that last stop.
Well, he's going the right way now, though.
Up to 6th place. Drivers not named Kyle Busch today have led 13 laps out of 150 that have been run. You do the math. The guy named Kyle Busch has done most of the leading. Still got 49 laps to go, though, and hey, this is racing. A lot of things can happen toward the finish.
Hey, Kyle Busch won at Phoenix. Good for him. Hey, look, he won again and again and again, 6 times in all. So the challenge today is obvious. Beat Kyle Busch. Pretty simple, right? Yeah. That's what they said the last 6 times, too.
Yeah, pretty simple. Last season led 142 laps in this race, 169 of 200 in the race last November, and 143 of 157 today for Kyle Busch, the all-time leading winner in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, in pursuit of a little more history, a 3rd straight win at this track.
I just wish he didn't make it look so easy. You know, one hand on the wheel. He acts like he's just out for a Sunday drive. Now, we know it's a lot tougher than that, but it makes it look easy.
It makes me think I could get in there and win with that car. I know I couldn't probably, but
Yeah,
I
you probably could.
Certainly makes it look that way. But that's, you know, the driving style and getting his car the way that he wants it. Just incredible.
Second place here, Brad Keselowski 22, Kevin Harvick 88. Kevin lost a couple of spots on the exchange of pit stops, back to 4th, got quickly to 3rd on the restart. Now he's run down Brad and is looking inside.
Yeah, kind of what we've seen from Harvick most of the day, that his car is really good after 15 to 20 laps, starts moving on. And also we noted about him shifting, and that's whenever that should take effect and be better for him.
Yeah, one thing I noticed that second run, or the last run right before this one, it didn't seem to be quite as strong. Even after they'd run a few laps, I didn't see that car really come to life. And I don't know if it was an adjustment they made then, but they've probably made another one now, and the car looks pretty strong.
Carlos Contreras being put a lap down there by the 2nd and 3rd place cars. '11th and 12th. Little side-by-side racing here. Brian Scott 2, James Buescher 99.
Yeah, they've been arguing over this spot for quite a while now. Dylan Wisniewski just looking for somewhere to go, wanting them to settle this, but they've been at it 4 to 5 laps now.
So you're out there, it's late in the race. You're not racing for the win like that. Still fun to get out there side by side, or has it just become kind of grinding on you?
No, it's a competition. Anything you can pass is good. It doesn't matter. You know, you're a competitor, and anybody that you're racing, yeah, that you feel good about it. You know, you'll try to work the next time, and hopefully it's further up. Maybe here you're racing to try to get close to the top 10. Next time it'd be for the top 5.
Every spot matters. Everybody's out there racing as hard as they can for every position. Here's Kyle Larson, passing a pretty good guy for position.
Yeah. And this car, before they made those last pit stops on that green run, he was the fastest car on the racetrack. Now, he was a ways back, but his car was really, really good. A lot like Harvick. Takes it a little time to come in, but then he's really, really strong.
Always found it funny how that works. Long run car, short run car, car that just sustains its speed no matter what circumstances you put it in.
Yeah, a lot of times it's just the way it works out. It's not like he set out to do that. You know, you go to the racetrack, you try to get your car balanced, make it as fast as possible, and you wind up with a car sometimes that is good in the long run, and so you just have to play that card or play that hand the way it's dealt to you and try to make the most out of it.
Update on Kyle Larson from Jamie.
Well, and Andy, that's exactly what his crew chief Scott Zipadelli did. He told me early on they unloaded and they didn't have the speed they wanted in this 42 car. It took about 5 laps to get up to speed, so they're doing the best they can. Now their plan today, the first pit stop, they took scuff tires. Kyle didn't like the balance of the car at all. They came in again, they pitted on lap 93, and they put some sticker tires on the car, and that set them up for right sides only, and the car is good right now. Kyle Larson saying, much better, guys, and I'm feeling raindrops as we speak.
Caution for rain, Jamie. NASCAR was just checking. Oh, got a car in trouble. That's Ryan Reed.
Oh, man.
Wow.
That's a hard lick.
Yeah, I'm all right.
NASCAR was checking with its various spotters around the racetrack to see if there were reports of rain. And you just heard Ryan say, push too hard.
Now, I don't know if the racetrack had gotten wet enough to have a problem.
I think so.
But that brings up something that Andy brought up earlier today about how hard it is, how easy it is to overdrive this racetrack, and especially for young drivers, Andy. And could be exactly what happened here.
Yeah, we've seen him close to trouble a few times today. This time, you can see he gets through that dog leg. Just, I don't know if he's out of the groove or just pushing a little bit too hard. Actually out of turn 2.
Yeah, you've got a lot of room there now after the reconfiguration of this, but you still use all of the racetrack in going out there. And if the car gets up there close and you have to give a little bit of wheel, then the car snaps around out from under you. That was a hard lick.
Chasing it. got a good run and go into that safer barrier.
Now you see the raindrops falling in that camera shot as Ryan Reed climbs from the race car. Tough start to his rookie season in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Post-checkered flag last week at Daytona. This is after the checkers.
It's amazing. All these cars made it to the start-finish line. They get down here to turn 1 and tear up a lot of race cars.
Not everybody slows at the same rate. And as Nemechek comes up across the racetrack in the 87, right into the path of Ryan Reed. And then the crash here inside of 40 laps to go today at Phoenix. And now the rain coming down.
I'm not sure that track wasn't slick over there. That rain was coming from that direction and might have been the first one to find a slick spot.
Yeah, very possible. You could hear him losing traction with what we showed with the in-car.
Yeah, that car just really breaks loose off the corner. So you got a big run and go with that safer barrier. Hit really hard.
Yeah, get the track and NASCAR credit though, having a safer barrier there. You'd think that's a long way off the racing surface, but you have that.
It's like you might see a little few raindrops on that camera lens.
Just a little bit. Wow.
That's a tough break.
And he said just pushing too hard. In the radio we caught. And now the rain coming down, the field coming down the pit lane. And with 32 laps to go in this one, have we seen the last of it today in Phoenix? Not yet, but we might have.
What do you got on radar here? What are we looking like? Is this a rain that's going to end it?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to rain pretty damn hard, to be honest. Get ready to cover your stuff up, boys. Watch your radios.
Covered up it will be. And NASCAR issuing instructions for the teams to assist the driver and cover up the car. So the field going to be stopped by rain, 32 laps shy of the scheduled distance at Phoenix International Raceway. Kyle Busch has dominated so far today. So Kyle Busch has dominated this race so far. He's led 155 of the 168 laps that have been run. Rain has the race under the red flag with 32 to go. You see the track drying equipment is out there on the speedway. And as you look at how they run, a little business to take care of for you as far as what's going to happen from here. We are at the end of our scheduled air window here on ABC. We are going to leave the air because they've got a ways to go to get this track ready to dry. When the race resumes, the race will be seen live on ESPN News and the Watch ESPN app through to its conclusion. Keep an eye on the ESPN networks for updates on the track drying process and on what time the race will resume. And again, when it does, it will be live to its conclusion on ESPN News and the Watch ESPN app. So there are the drivers and how they sit under the red flag. It's been Kyle Busch, king of the hill so far.
Yeah, it really has. And, and as I talked to drivers and teams yesterday, I really thought that we were going to see a little more of a competitive race with some drivers having the opportunity to get there and race side by side. But other than the restarts, as Kevin Harvick kind of pointed out, you don't see him for very long, and then he's gone.
Yeah, he saw a couple of times. One run that Harvick seemed to have a little advantage at the end of the run if it went long. Then the next time he made an adjustment, he couldn't do that again. I think that Harvick would like to see it go back, maybe get another shot at him. Obviously, Kyle Busch probably like to see it end here, but we'll see what happens with the racetrack, and maybe we can get this thing in.
You know, one of my favorite sayings, you never know what can happen at the end of one of these things. And when it does go back, which is obviously NASCAR and track officials' intention,